Unsettled. Usually we don't cover a case of this calibre or this mainstream or this recent. And because this case has gathered up so much momentum, like it's captivated a lot of people and a lot of people online, mainly due to the tragic outcome and the fact it shows domestic abuse, and this is why it has in fact gathered so much momentum. It's because so many women relate to this young girl. So I thought, well, as I've been following the case, being somewhat of an internet sleuth at this point,
Yes.
and my partner, not Will, but my partner and I have been watching constant videos. I mean, she was the one that told me about it, and then I watched the body cam footage, which I will get into. But yeah, like I got so caught up in it, like everyone else did, that I ended up basically just clicking YouTube over and over again, finding new pieces of information.
Was that piecing together your own videos? And...
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange thing because so many coincidences were happening at this point as well.
Yeah.
So it was like you have to tie in all these different events. And like I said, it gathered momentum simply because it shows domestic abuse, which then led to tragedy, which I guess so many women around the world have experienced or have come close to having tragedy, being in that relationship. So in this episode of The Unsettled, we will be discussing the case of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie and all the events that have happened around this case.
Yeah.
You don't know much, but you know bits.
I know bits and pieces.
Which is helpful. Whereas I have managed to write down probably about 16 pages of my own personal information, little bits that I managed to find and look up through Reddit and other resources and other things that just clicked during this case. I did notice other YouTubers had not used the words strangulation and used other words and blanked it out for monetization and other ridiculous things like that, because obviously they are just racking up views on this case. Like I said, it's not a usual type of case.
No, it's very, it's too recent for us, as you said, for one thing. Yeah,
it's not put in any books, like a conspiracy book that we usually troll through, and it's not to the point of well known as in history well known. So this is, like I said, this is a first for us, and we wouldn't normally do a case like this.
No.
But I thought, considering I've been so invested in this fucking case,
and we have had a few people as well say that we should do it,
and I was just like, okay, we will try it. So this will be a very long-winded video, piecing together odds and ends, putting other pieces together, which some of you may not know, and some obviously that will know this because they followed the case from the very start. Where do I start?
At the beginning is always the best bit.
Yeah, I mean that would help. So, as if you're new here, we are The Unsettled. We discuss unsolved crimes, murders, mysteries, anything odd, basically. So, if you do like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Drop a comment below, like in certain aspects, whether, obviously I've written this all through myself and my own investigation. If I've got anything wrong, drop a comment. If you agree with certain thoughts, processes, drop a comment below as well.
And hit that notification bell. We are trying to, at the moment we're taking a little downtime, but we are having I think twice a week now as the uploads. At the beginning, one at the beginning, one at the end. So,
and that's all for season 3.
Yeah,
which people have asked me about.
Yeah, we've got, so season 3. It's not exactly a spoiler, but we're going to try some new stuff.
Yeah, we're going to try different ways to put our videos across. Edit them, tweak them a little bit, make it more engaging for the audience to get behind us, as well as keeping our usual dark humour in places. But I will say this, with this case, it probably sounds like I'm probably just going to run it all off of a piece of paper, mainly because that's how I've written it, and just how it's basically put down on paper.
How it plays out.
Yeah, but obviously there are going to be moments where, I don't know, I will then have to readjust, because like I said, there's 15 pages of information here,
But you said you've got 2 different points of view in here.
Timelines.
Or 2 different timelines. One from her timeline.
And his.
And his timeline.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is, I guess, the case of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie, the events that unfolded, and all the other little bits in between, as well as a timeline, and we'll probably discuss some theories, and go over some of the other ludicrous theories as well, like a bunker and some other weird aspects of it, and a gun.
And how plausible they might be.
Yeah.
And certain other different,
Set the scene. And like I said, if you're new, subscribe and jump down the rabbit hole with us.
Yeah.
Because, we dig pretty deep. Yeah, you should come with your own shovel. You should, really, at this point. There was another thing I also wanted to point out before I begin, is the fact that due to this case, missing people have been found because of the momentum of this case.
Yeah, because
so they've uncovered other people in the areas who have been
like
missing.
white nun and a lot of families have found loved ones that they thought were missing and lost. So,
and I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe not. I mean, I will touch on this subject a little bit later on in this case, but there is a bit of a coincidence throughout some of these things, and then you can weigh up the pros and cons and try and figure it out yourself. And probably, like most of you are probably thinking, did this really occur in this area? Was it this? Was it this? Like I said, drop your comments below, let me know what you think, and just
let's get started.
Yep. So Gabby Petito was born in March on the 19th in 1999. You can see how far.
Very recent.
You can see how far I've gone back with this, can't you? She was just 22 years old when, I'm going to say it, she was murdered. And not many people will say that yet, which I think is quite a weird thought process. But we'll get to that in a minute. She had become, I guess, an Instagram personality, gaining followers due to her photos, outlook on life, and her travels. So she would travel around, take pictures of some really cool places, and obviously we look at these places and think, oh, I'd like to go there one day, that's really cool. Or they want to just travel, and obviously that picks up momentum online no matter where you go. She had hopes of travelling with her partner Brian and documenting all their places and obviously their lives online, which could be quite stressful.
It's very stressful. Like, I can see the attraction to it.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, when I was travelling,
driving around the country, and
when I was travelling, I found mapping places to go the easiest part, and it was actually being in the same area of people that you've been with for so long. It's like, oh, this is kind of annoying now, I need a break, or I need I need to go out and do something on my own. So you can imagine already that if they're travelling around documenting all these places,
they're going to be together for a long periods of time, and
not many people can do that. I mean, married couples obviously have to go to work, they come back, and you have breaks in between.
You've got your rest parts where obviously you're dealing with different situations, whether you're at work, whether you go out with friends, whether you visit family,
you have that time.
Yeah,
Which I don't think you would get trapped in a Ford Transit van
with your partner who you're both doing exactly the same thing, exactly the same time, exactly the same day.
Tensions will rise. Right. So Gabby and her partner first met each other studying at Blue Point High School. They had been dating since these school days. They eventually got engaged in private, which was later, I guess, off record. So they did it on their own.
They did it on their own terms.
I also found out they planned to get married, but COVID-19 happened. Which I thought was not many people ever speculated that one either. Not many, but they thought okay, she was engaged to him, or were they engaged, and then they actually planned to get married, which not many people actually found out, which I was just researching, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But obviously nothing was set in stone.
Yeah.
So, Brian Laundrie is an alleged craftsman, which I thought was also interesting because despite Brian Laundrie being in the news, not many people talk about his background so much.
No.
So he's an alleged craftsman, and he's 23, yet looks a lot older, which I thought was also another strange coincidence at some point. he's an artist, so he does a lot of drawings and cartoon drawings as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, what I found really interesting was the fact that online it said he was 23, yet other resources were saying he's 37. Look at the man, he looks older.
Yeah.
But I was just like, okay, that's a bit strange. Like, no one knows how old this guy is. Like, don't his friends know? Like, really?
Yeah, you would expect that.
He's just had a hard life, I think. And yeah, take away the beard, he looks like a bald 8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they do say facial hair adds years.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying.
Hard life.
Tell me about it.
I managed to find out online that Brian hadn't used his Facebook since 2019. I thought that was very odd.
It says instant social media blackout.
I guess so. Like, I read online somewhere that his family aren't really internet and tech savvy.
No.
But I was just like,
well,
okay.
Not many people are, but obviously the newer or the younger generation, shall I say, would be more tech savvy.
But if he's 23, he'd be tech savvy.
Yeah,
and if reports claim he's 37, he'd be tech savvy. But no, I found out he hadn't used his Facebook since 2019.
Some people just don't like it, like just don't want it.
So here's where I did a bit of a quick check on him. He didn't have an Instagram until he started dating Gabby in 2020 or around that time. But when they started their travels, more or less.
Yeah.
He then set up an Instagram, and I was like, very odd. What an odd guy. For someone that does art and stuff, like, you'd think he'd use social media to broadcast.
As a resource.
Yeah. Also, along with, they started a channel, Normatic Static or something along that lines, where they were going to start posting their van life.
Yeah.
You know, you get the idea.
Yeah. The nomad life of travelling around in a transit van.
I wouldn't do it.
Not in a transit. I'd go around in a camper, but I wouldn't go around in a transit.
But they camped it out, so there's a bed and
yeah,
stuff.
I know, but that ain't the point. It's a transit van.
I think a camper van would be better.
Exactly. It'd look better and feel nicer, and at least it's got the amenities already built in with the space. Yeah. You don't have to then think about where you want stuff.
I guess this was kind of like a project.
Yeah.
But this was Gabby's van.
Okay.
No, not his van.
Oh, so it was her project anyway, so yeah.
They must have come out of it on their own, like going, okay, we're going to do van life, and then went along with it. So I found some information about his mother.
Okay.
Which I thought was, I don't know. I thought she was a bit odd, to say the least. So, okay, so if I've got this correctly, she's 55 years old and serves as a president for her company, which does juice machines.
Okay. So it's basically
a juicer.
It's basically an upstart company.
Right, but she does this with obviously her husband, Chris.
Right. Yeah, so it's like a community thing.
Yeah, it's like juicer services or something, and
yeah.
Basically, I looked online; it looked closed and abandoned.
Probably
so
is
I
now.
was just like, oh, it looks like a crack house factory.
Yeah.
Putting it nicely. So I was just like, okay, so what does she do? So I looked a bit deeper. So she married her husband in a private ceremony. Yeah, I couldn't find any details when. Which I thought was also odd.
It's a little bit odd.
Like, I have torn apart the internet looking for stuff. It's literally ridiculous. I'm sure many people have looked at his case, have looked at every minor detail.
Looking back. Once you get more invested, the deeper you kind of tend to look. But
as I kind of stated, her father and her have no social media presence. Which is yet again another weird thing, because it's just weird. It's weird. Her husband Chris is 62 years old. He's also part of that juice company, as I said. And I would also like to point out that Brian's mum Roberta worked for the Suffolk County government.
Oh.
A bit odd. Right. Enough of them. Let's discuss this case a bit better. Right, so I was going to talk about Gabby's family, but I don't see anything wrong with their family. I mean, she's got a mum, a dad, stepmum, stepdad, and they all obviously come together.
Yeah, it's more of the mainstream.
Yeah.
Sort of mainstream family life kind of thing.
So, okay. So, Gabby moved in with the Laundrie family sometime in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they kind of treated her like a daughter at this point, because obviously they were engaged, right? So she lived under their roof, and it was here where Gabby and Brian began to convert the Ford Transit van to travel around the USA on a road trip. And like I said, living this life.
Yeah, so it's like the nomadic life where you're moving around, you haven't really got a...
So July they both embarked upon this trip from New York. There was like posting photos everywhere, quite frequently. So people were gaining. It was gaining.
It was gaining momentum.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, they were building their fan base basically.
Yeah. Then on September the 1st, Brian Laundrie returned from the trip alone.
Okay.
So July they set off from New York. September the 1st, he arrives home on his own. Now I guess this is where I'm going to split up into two different timelines. I guess.
Okay.
So 10 days later, Gabby's family report that their daughter is missing. It became and still is a nationwide, thing.
It's a current event.
And this is why I said it's been exploited so much across the internet. It is unreal. Yeah. With people making assumptions, people making claims, people saying this, that, and the other happened.
The facts are starting to get lost within the amount of conspiracy theories that have come out.
Yeah. And even though it has been, like I said, like you say, lost, details lost amongst lies, I guess. Yeah. Like, I've paid attention to it. I've tried to figure out where everyone is coming from on coming up with these ideas.
Right, so the base...
Yeah.
The base explanation why people get jumping to their explanations.
But everyone became an armchair detective.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of captivated me as well. So I was looking at...
It's that mental state where a case this... I'd say not mundane, but this case like this has captured so many people's interest.
Exactly.
It's not so quickly.
It's not like, oh, someone's missing in this part of the country, and then it's kind of just like a faint line. This went sky high,
like literally shot through the roof,
and everyone pretty much used this as a cash cow, which I thought was kind of weird as well, because even people that don't do crime or anything did a video.
Have covered it,
and I was just like, holy shit! Like, do these people actually care, or is it just simply boosting and exploiting their own channel for this kind of purpose? It really didn't make sense to me. I thought, like, if you actually had a general interest in cases and stuff like that, you'd have more than just this video. Yeah. Say, like, it was so good.
You would have your backs like us with season 1 and season 2. Like, we've gone out and we've looked at a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And we've told them from, as you said, our point of view.
And whether that's to put, I don't know whether we've done it in a certain type of way where we've gone, oh, okay, so this family vanished then, this is what happened. Like, whether that was our intent or not, we've just come up with the most plausible solution and theory that would make the most sense. But with this case, there's so many twists and turns, you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on?
Because it's... no, as I said, like, I think we discussed this a while ago, and there was, as I said, there was so many inlets of information that you just get lost in that river of just like, what the hell is going on?
The one thing I found really interesting was, like I said, everyone turned to like a detective, and it gathered so much momentum, and I was like, okay, let's see other people's point of view. And what I found was really interesting, and I think like many of us in our day-to-day lives wouldn't notice we're doing it. There is certain things we do, subconsciously or not, or places we go that later affect something which could happen, which is terribly bad. Let's say you could go out in a thunderstorm and you could make a joke about lightning, and 2 weeks later you're struck by it. Like, there were so many weird little snippets that was happening, and you're just like...
I think it's called like the butterfly effect or something. Like, if a butterfly flaps its wings, then like the other side of the world gets a very heavy, like...
Yeah, it seemed
thunderstorm. I probably butchered that explanation, but
you probably have. Okay, right. So like I said, everyone became an armchair detective and loads of people exploited this without having no occurrence to it.
Yeah.
But people jumped on because it's domestic violence and people want to raise awareness to it. Which is fair enough, but
which it's a good thing
and a bad
to
thing.
do.
And a bad thing.
But then it's a bad thing because people are linking certain things from different cases with.
And what I also feel, if this case didn't gather so much momentum, like, there wouldn't be, shall I say, I kind of feel bad doing this case, but bearing in mind, we don't gain money from YouTube at all. We don't.
No, we're not monetized.
I will happily say what I like, and other channels won't say what they like.
Because they're under that personal constraint.
And I also feel that where so many people have captured this case, like, it's like the family can't grieve at all. And they're constantly seeing her name, her face everywhere.
Yeah.
So there are pros and cons to having information out there like this. Right. So, August the 12th. Gabby posted a photograph of herself on Instagram, taken on August the 9th, sitting under an arch in the Arches National Park in Utah. It's a nice place. I'm not going to lie, it looked really nice. Right. That very day, a police in Utah responded to a domestic dispute where an onlooker called, stating the couple in a white van was involved in a domestic dispute /
argument /
bit of violence going on. Right. This video from the police, which was posted online, from body cam footage of the police, showed Gabby upset, worried, scared, with a cut up on her face, while Brian joked with the officers and they took his side and they didn't give any of them a charge.
Right.
So while you have a historical, is it hysterical, person crying and everything else with a cut on her face, you're bum chumming the guy that is playing it off really cool. It seems really weird for me with that sense.
Yeah, like it. To me, they just couldn't be bothered to dive in. Like, I'm not saying couldn't be bothered, but some aspects of, like, you don't really want to get involved, but then you do. Yeah. And it's like it's a very tough situation.
You'll see why this is weird, but I feel the police from this very moment fucked everything all up, and I think everyone if they
couldn't catch it early,
you wouldn't have someone's death in their hands, really. Yeah. Right. So they dropped Brian, who I believe scratched his own arm, right, in this process.
I have seen the picture of his arm, and it does look like someone's gone like that. Like,
but bearing in mind,
where you've had an itch.
Bearing in mind, she could have done this to stop him hitting her. Because
it could have been a self-defense thing where she lashed.
The police stated they should spend the night alone, and they were siding with Brian. Yet both didn't want to press charges, despite Gabby saying he grabbed my face like this and showed it. So it was more like a it
was a fall.
But bearing in mind, the person that called in to the police said that he was hitting her in the face. And then the police turn up and they're like, "Oh, hey, fist bump." You're trying to understand this. So like I said, she has a cut on her face and she's very distraught. So Gabby stayed with the van while police took Brian to a motel. Now, everyone, like I said, has seen the footage of this. So I'm not really going to read too much into it at this point. But I guess this is the part where it gathers attention online, social media wise. This gathers a lot.
As soon as people, to be fair, this is what caught my attention, where they didn't catch it early, and you could see that if they looked at her properly, instead of looking at her like, "Oh, you slapped him," and he says
you're
an apparent victim.
Like if they would have noticed it, this situation wouldn't happen.
No. So nowadays there's policies and different ways.
Don't forget you're in a different country here.
No. This is worldwide. There is certain phrases that women can say. There are certain ways that they can go around it. Like the establishment that I work in at the moment, if someone comes to the bar and I think the word is can't or something. Yeah. But if it's written in a capital letter, like a capital C-A-N.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's certain codes.
I can't get a taxi, but can you phone me one?
Yeah. That's a cry of, hey, look, this person's bothering me.
Please, like, get me away from this situation.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, there's certain codes and certain things, and
certain
I feel that the police at this point didn't do fuck all.
No.
Right.
They just ignored it by the sound of it. Yeah. Like, by the looks of the video, they just ignored it.
So obviously, I'm part of a Discord. I'm part of a Reddit. The Unsettled is actually part of a Reddit, which is the one I use, which you've never been on. But basically, people were picking apart the video, noticing little things. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to my partner, I was like, "There's a pregnancy test in that van," and she was like, "What?" And she looked through it, and we paused it, and there's actually a pregnancy test in the van. And she was like, "How the fuck did you spot that?" And I was like, "Didn't anyone else?" Like, obviously your main focus is on the two people, Brian and Gabby, but there's little bits in this van which later get torn apart and other little bits and pieces. Mm-hmm. But there were certain bits I noticed that I told my partner about, and she was like, "I never saw that." I was like, "Because you're focused on them. Look at the surroundings as well as the body language and everything else." Mm. Right. So on August the 19th, they published a video on YouTube titled "Van Life." It showed them kissing, exploring the surroundings. They shared intimate moments like mornings together on this video. Yeah. Right. I guess it was like a video package documenting their.
Yeah, it's basically like a vlog plus adventure plus.
I mean, I'm not sure whether they were actually intending to video every place. I think they were just going to put loads of videos together and give it some upbeat music like they did. Yeah. I think that was my point. Right, so August the 25th/24th. Right. Gabby's mother and stepdad last spoke with her on FaceTime call. She stated Gabby and Brian was leaving Utah and travelling to Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. Mm-hmm. Her mother said she received a few texts after that. So we know that they've had a domestic and they're travelling and everything seems okay. Yeah. But bearing in mind this footage wasn't released when this happened.
When it happened.
Right? Yeah. So the family are now going, "Oh, okay, they must be fine." Mm. Gabby's last photo upload on her Instagram is an old picture of her holding a sewn pumpkin. So it's kind of like this. Mm. Right? So that's her last picture she posted.
Last picture she's posted.
And it's an old photo, which I noticed. So after watching, after looking at her Instagram and going forward with that, her hair colour is brighter in this photo. Okay. Her hair colour's changed. You don't just dye your hair in the van, if this makes sense.
No.
And other people noticed, they were like, "Hang on, that could be an old picture that was uploaded on this time," right? Right. So, and it didn't have a description.
Okay, so normally she would list.
It basically just said "Happy Halloween."
Right.
Right. Whereas all her previous uploads had written about her day, where they were, like a location,
what they were doing, kind of thing. Yeah.
Whereas this just said "Happy Halloween." Mm. Now, many people believe Brian uploaded this photo from her phone.
I did read something like that, yeah.
So, August the 30th. Right? Mm-hmm. But don't forget, that picture of her holding this pumpkin was 25th, right? August the 30th, Gabby's mother received a text saying, "No service in Yosemite." I might have said that wrong, but either way, yeah. Now, the other text, she believes, wasn't her. Right. And this one, she believes, wasn't her as well, her mother. Okay. Right? The other text said Stan. It was exposed by other internet sleuths. This could have either been an emergency text without Brian knowing, or Brian himself. Right.
Yeah. As previously discussed, different codes, different. Right.
But her mother didn't know what Stan meant.
No.
But obviously Stan means what it means if you were to look this up. Yeah. Right. So obviously the mother's now thinking like, "Hang on, this could have been from someone else." Now she's sat back after all the events have unfolded and gone, "Hang on, she would normally write something more, you know, right?" But Gabby's granddad is called Stan. So many people will now assume that Brian was getting missed calls from Gabby's granddad and put Stan. But this is where the mother's now said Gabby's never called her granddad Stan. It would be granddad. which is why the text message is a bit weird.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah?
Yeah, no.
Right, so the 1st of September, as I said, Brian returns home in Gabby's white van. 11th of September, Gabby's family reports her missing.
So they couldn't get a hold of her, they couldn't contact her. And obviously, he's got the van.
Yeah, and they were calling up Brian's parents, didn't answer. Right, so this is where the details began to unfold a bit more. Right?
Yeah.
Now, the information appeared among the timeline. Brian flew home to Tampa from Salt Lake City on August the 17th, according to his attorney.
Yeah.
He went home to obtain items and empty a storage locker. Right, so going forward, as they was planning to extend their trip, which was due to end on Halloween. Think back to that picture that got uploaded, Happy Halloween.
Yeah.
It gets a bit more weird with this, mate. You only know the bits and pieces. This is what I mean. It, like, for people like myself and the viewers, they know what really went on and how weird it now sounds. You, at this point, it's just behind Disney. So they basically emptied the storage locker and was planning to extend their trip, which, like I said, was meant to end on Halloween. Coincidentally, Gabby's last photo said Happy Halloween underneath, as though Gabby had finished her trip. Creepy. You'll see why it's creepy. Right. According to Brian and his family's attorney, who is a friend of their family,
convenient,
he returned to Salt Lake City to rejoin Gabby on August the 23rd.
Right.
No one knows what the fuck this kid went back for, leaving his fiancée in a van in a different
Not
town.
even a van.
Leaving her on her own for so long.
Mm.
That's a mystery in itself. Oh,
You would think, like, you would think there would
You'd think he'd call his parents up.
Well,
hey, empty the storage locker, sell some shit.
You would think there would be card transactions of her booking hotels. Or even, like, obviously, you know, like, the cash thing.
You wait. So, around the 30th of August to September the 1st, Brian is accused of fraud due to the use of a Capital One debit card and personal identification number from 2 bank accounts in Wyoming and elsewhere, which belonged to Gabby.
Yeah. So, that's what I mean.
Right. He spent around $1,000 or more, but the items was never described.
Right.
Or tone. But he used her cards.
But that's what I mean. Like, he's used the cards getting back from...
Oh no, apparently his father paid for the flight back, which I thought was even more weird.
What, with the van?
I have no idea. He flew back, went back and then took the van.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you would still have to pay petrol, you'd still have to pay God knows else what, and amenities like food and drink on the way back.
Right, so back to the 1st of September. Right. Brian had returned home and entered the city of Northport at around 10:26 a.m.
Right.
So early morning. Right, September the 4th. Brian buys a new phone and opened an account with AT&T. Where was his old phone? Yeah, exactly. Brian and his family check in on the 6th to Fort DeSoto Park. Now, Gabby's family had reported her missing and tried contacting Brian and his parents. They never responded and acted like the family was strangers and avoided them. Right. Norfolk police confirmed they recovered Gabby's van that night, yet Brian's family only handed information by a little card that said speak to our attorney.
As soon as the police came and knocked in, they lawyered up.
They lawyered up as soon as Brian got back, for a reason. Right, September the 13th. Brian...
Sorry, I don't know that one.
You sure?
That was random.
Yeah. Brian leaves home leaving his phone and takes a backpack. His family stated they saw him leave one day early in the morning, and they told police when they reported him now missing, the same as Gabby. Right. September the 14th. Brian's family said as at the start they saw him on the 14th, but was confused on the day. Turns out they last saw him on the 13th. Right? Yet the family collected his Ford Mustang, which he took down when he wanted to go hiking on his own after being home.
Yeah.
Yeah. They collected that. Brian, like I said, Brian drove it just outside of the Miachi Creek Environmental Park on September the 14th at around 2:42 p.m. and his family went to collect it afterwards. Due to it having an abandoned letter, if your car is parked here for so long. Okay, September the 15th. Brian was now named a person of interest in his partner's disappearance.
Yeah.
Along with the use of what, I don't know, which was Gabby's debit cards.
Yeah.
Right. So fraud as well.
The fraud.
Yeah. But now he's gone off fucking camping. His family don't know where the fuck he is, but they've gone to collect the Mustang he took. But they don't know where he's gone. Right.
It's convenient.
But there was a smart part of this. So as he's now getting done for fraud, it means he can be arrested in any state. Not just for the disappearance of his partner, because he's not being charged with that. He's being charged with something which allows him to get arrested in any state.
Yeah.
Right. September the 16th. Allegedly, Chief Garrison states he knows where Brian is. Right. Fair enough. Yet he slips right past them, as no police or FBI paid any attention to him whatsoever. So basically, he snuck past them. No one knew where the fuck he went. He somehow got out, and that was it. And yet the police had eyes. And we've recently just learned in some other information that even across the road, they planted cameras
and
to keep an eye on him, and he still slips away.
Managed to slip away.
Yeah. To go hiking in this Mustang. Right. September the 17th. The family attorney now states they don't know where Brian is at all. The FBI now, should we say, I guess they'll start.
They start picking up interest.
Yeah, and then they started picking up interest and removing items from the Laundrie's house.
Right.
Right. So police spent 2 hours plus at the home. But this, may I add, this was due to the request of the family. Right. Okay, September the 18th. Police and FBI begin to search the Colton Reserve looking for Brian. Now, everyone online stated he was not there, right? And said he was wasting time, money, resources. Like, I think it got to like 1.5 million in searching for this kid, right?
In the wrong place.
Yeah. This is where Dog the Bounty Hunter now turns up.
Oh.
Yeah. He made his appearance and he stated he will find him. So Dog now turns up. So now it has become a media circus. Yeah. I think from here everyone online had seen Brian Laundrie or photographed and called the FBI around every fucking state in America.
Around every corner.
Every bald guy with a beard.
Yeah.
They photographed and was sending it in. It was getting to the point where we were like, have they found him? Oh no. Have they found him? No. Like at some point I couldn't sleep at night. I'd just quickly scroll through Twitter or anything like that and be like, no, they haven't found him. I'd still look.
Oh no.
But I was just like, oh. But it seemed like Brian was everywhere. But I would like to add the Colton Reserve is 25,000 plus acres. So that's a lot.
It's a lot of ground to cover.
And it's flooded. And there's alligators, snakes.
Yeah.
You get the idea, right? September the 19th. The remains of Gabby Petito was found in a national forest in Wyoming. Right, the FBI said the remains matched that of Gabby Petito, but said, I don't know, I guess a forensic report needed to be done now to confirm, right? But it did match, okay? FBI was still searching the Colton Reserve looking for this kid, right? Yeah, rainfall, floods and wild animals caused issues where they could only go so far then come back.
And then head out again, when it's drier, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then all your tracks and... Yeah.
September the 20th, FBI stormed the Laundrie house with a warrant. Which is interesting now because they found the remains of his partner and it's like, hang on, we need to look at this. Now, I did read somewhere that Gabby had like a jumper which they obviously recognised, the family recognised, because it was like from a local store which is close to them.
Yeah.
I also read somewhere she was naked from the waist down, which is now a bit weird. But you might find out possibly why eventually. Right. The FBI confirmed the remains were Gabby Petito. The manner of death was homicide. Now, I think everyone else, myself and everyone online was going, it was him, it was Brian. definitely Brian.
It's got to be.
Everyone was saying it was him, right? Like speculations, like started running wild. People were doing spirit boxes online trying to speak to her. Some people were saying she was pushed off a cliff. Other people were saying she was shot. Right? So everyone was like coming up with their own thing. They were like, oh, but they had a gun. You know, in a picture on Gabby's Instagram further down, there's her holding a gun. And you're like, where the fuck is all this coming from? Even me, I was like, I haven't seen any of this shit yet. I'm like, wow, this is new. Right. Like I said, but I think the main part of this is Brian killed her. Right? I think that's what they were pointing out. It was done some way by Brian. Right? Because it seems weird they lawyered up pretty quick. Right, October the 12th. By now people had searched Brian's Instagram, Gabby's, people was putting things together, dead bodies are beginning to turn up in places Brian had been. Yeah. Which is kind of weird. He was reading books on serial killers. His other accounts showed pictures on his Pinterest of bones in woods, which I thought was kind of a bit weird. Because when you think about how they found Gabby's body in the woods and she was covered up with loads of little branches and shit, it's like, oh yeah, exactly. It gets a bit weird. But at this point, you're now thinking like, okay, the guy's a weirdo. The guy's a proper weirdo.
It just confirms it even more, really, doesn't it?
His Spotify music changed. His playlist. He renamed his playlist and was playing like really killery, death metal-y songs, and it was just like, why would you now change it? But it was his and Gabby's playlist. It now changed to something that was all his, which I thought was a bit, so you know she's dead then. But weirdly enough, people were stating that his Spotify was changing while he was on the run. Apparently a live stream went up on his Instagram of him near water. Like, I don't know whether he got hacked, but I thought like, holy shit, like all these little snippets are now coming out of the woodwork. So yeah, a lot of people were saying that Brian was a madman. They were now claiming he was a serial killer because of certain things now not making sense. Right. Dead bodies appearing where he was like 5 minutes away when there's been no death in that area for so many years.
For so many years.
You know what I mean? Right? Now, Brian's sister opened her mouth. She doesn't live with the family. Right. So she lives, you know, further away. But she claims she was alienated by her mum and dad. They haven't spoken to her since they all went camping when he came back. Okay. They haven't spoken to his sister. He hasn't. Brian hasn't spoken to her. Nothing seemed odd when they all went camping together. Which I thought, now that's a bit weird. Now they've acted like nothing has happened. After Brian's come home after possibly killing his fiancée, he's acting like everything's all fine. Yeah? But now the sister has gone on to TV, gone on to another talk show afterwards and said, my family haven't spoken to me, I'm alienated. If I knew where Brian was, I'd hand him in to you. It's like... And all the protesters at this point were quite happy with her. They were like, yeah, that'll do. And they went back to the laundry house and started harassing them some more. Yeah. Which I think most people would do at this point. So like I said, bodies were turning up. His disappearance, FBI and loads of new technology, and they still can't find one man who doesn't seem like he could make it out on his own camping anywhere. No. Right? Yet his sister, Cassie, had been left to speak to media while the mum and dad remained quiet, not speaking to anyone. Does this seem a bit weird yet? Yeah. The more the family don't speak, the more agitated people at this point were getting. They were throwing laundry baskets on their lawn, shouting dirty laundries. Oh. Yeah. They were knocking on the door, wanting them to come out. Like, it was pretty heavy.
It was, at this point, it's a witch hunt.
Yeah.
Whichever way you
look
at it.
And every time they came out, like, I'm in two minds on this, but I thought, like, okay, if your son has done something wrong, or daughter, depending if you have a son or a daughter, it's good that they own up to it. It's not good with the fact that the family don't speak. So I think at this point in this situation of the case, it's looking bad for them.
The thing is, it's the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be, even if you go, yeah, okay, like, we found out, but then he left.
Not even contacting her family
No.
Even though the couple have been together
like even
for
if
a good couple of years.
Well,
like
that's
4
the thing,
years,
right?
I think.
Even if you don't know something, you'll be like, look, I don't know anything.
Yeah, but allegedly, in today's news, at the time of recording, the lawyer told them, don't speak to anyone.
And they instantly...
They went, yeah, okay. But Brian's sister happily went onto TV everywhere and said what she knew. She also showed images of them all camping when he came back, acting like nothing was wrong. But in one of the images, I'm sure someone zoomed in and there's like marks on his arm, so it looks like he's done something. Scratches yet again. Maybe it's a self-harmer. It seems a bit weird to me. Right. So I think, like, obviously the protesters are getting agitated.
Yeah.
People, I mean, they're staying outside all this time.
It's building up to a point.
Right. Gabby Petito's autopsy is told by Dr. Brent. He's the Teton County coroner.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, we don't gain money from this from YouTube, so I'll happily say what he actually said. He said she died of strangulation, right? And her body had been outside for 3 to 4 weeks. Right. So this could possibly explain why she doesn't have many clothes on her. Animals are picked her apart. If there's animals in the area, the body would start smelling. Buzzards, mate, buzzards.
True.
Yeah.
But then there would be some sort of thread.
Yeah.
There would be
Maybe.
some. There
She'd
would
be
be
left
some,
to the elements. So I'm not sure what would happen to a pair of jean shorts. I don't own a pair. If she was wearing them, I'm not sure what would happen in 3 to 4 weeks being outside in mud. I have no idea. Do you own jean shorts?
I don't own jean shorts.
You don't own booty shorts?
No. But myself personally, nothing degrades that quickly.
No.
Even with these temperatures and quality
this is
of weather.
Wyoming, Florida. I have no idea. It's probably really hot regardless. I mean,
it is hot, but then obviously when it does rain, it rains.
Yeah. You know
when it snows, it snows.
You know when I said that I noticed a pregnancy test in the van, right? The coroner, out of nowhere, decided to go, and she wasn't pregnant. It's like, no one asked that question. He just happily gave it. He didn't give everything. He said strangulation was the cause of death, and she wasn't pregnant. So you're looking at these 2 key points. He's keeping everything to himself on this. What else it could be?
Yeah,
and
he's probably been digested by lawyers and stuff like going like, you can't say this, you can't say this.
I can understand why, because if they did capture Brian and Brian says, oh, I didn't shoot her, they'd be like, how do you know she's got gunshots? We never said she had gunshots to the media. I understand keeping information back. You see what I mean? Yeah. Right, so Chris Laundrie, his dad, was asked to join the search. He is seen laughing with investigators and FBI down at the Carlton Reserve. Seems a bit weird when you've just found out your
daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law. Your woman you have looked at as a daughter is now dead, and you're laughing down at the Carlton Reserve with investigators like
looking for your son.
Yeah. And may I add, the day that they found out of what she died of, the dad went out and started mowing the lawn in front of protesters, like antagonising them even more.
Yeah, just asking for something to happen.
Like I said, he was seen laughing and everything else, and there was no concern, despite the family saying that their son is missing. There's no worry on their faces.
No concern at all.
There's no worry.
No.
It's like, okay, yes, your son might be a mediocre survivalist in the wild, right? And I say mediocre, I say he's probably really shit, because every place that they camped at, which I have looked at,
they've had a
was actually like a national park. Yeah. It's not like you've done wild camping. It's not like you've had to do this, you've had to do that. It's
and
like
they've had amenities nearby.
They've had their own van. Yeah, it's not like he's a brilliant survivalist. I'm still confused at this point in this timeline of the case how no one's found him. Don't get me wrong, it's fucking stupid. Right. So as I said, Cassie, Brian's sister, speaks on the news channels. I guess they were making sure she was not a target, and she was sick of sick of people outside her home saying Brian killed Gabby, because
if she's got kids and stuff,
she had children. She was like, they had to find out through the protesters that their
aunt, whatever,
has been killed
by
allegedly Brian, who they look up to. I can understand why she came out and be like, look, can you stop?
It's the best thing for her family.
Yeah, and she stated that she was, like I said, alienated. She was completely, she has no idea. She's completely unaware of what the fuck is going on.
That's what I mean. Like, she was honest.
Yeah.
As far as we're concerned, she is very honest.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, I don't know where this is. Her family is getting affected by it.
Yeah. Right. So at this point, I decided to break off from this timeline and just prove something that I found this really fucking not weird, but I found it in some way disrespectful because this one TikToker, right, made 60 views in a month over a death and a tragedy in someone's family, and I was like, holy shit! Like, she'd gathered so many views and she made 60 plus videos in that month of what was going on. Yeah. Like I said earlier, cash cow. We make no money. Yeah. We're doing this simply, well, I'm doing it simply just so I can talk to someone about it. And I think that's why most people on YouTube are looking for information, really.
But, like, it does gain awareness at some point.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about the different codes and stuff, which are searchable online. You can search up what ones that you need. But
I think, like I said, out of all of this, I wanted to make it aware that we're not cashing in, we're discussing, we're giving our thoughts, our theories, and at the same time giving people little bits of information where they don't have to click on 60 videos in a month to find out. You can probably find it out all here if I've done this correctly. Right. So basically people milking the tragedy at this point. Social media brought special attention to this case and clues I did notice. The most interesting footage I saw was from a blogger, I guess they're travel bloggers, bloggers, even, whatever you want to call it. I think their name is Jean and Kyle, claim they saw the white van of Gabby's parked on a dirt road once when they entered and when they left. Right, so this is the good part of social media. You can find if someone's missing, minus Brian Laundrie. If someone's missing, they will find them. Right. The video was broken down.
Well, it's quicker and easier to get information out there.
Unless you're bald and got a beard, then you're everywhere.
Or nowhere.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So the video is broken down into like milliseconds. I noticed.
It's like frame by frame.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what I did after a while. I noticed dents in the van, which weren't in the van when the police pulled them over on the body cam footage. I noticed dents. Right. I was like, okay, dents. Plausible.
Yeah.
Plausible. Someone noticed there was sandals around the back of the footage, so basically the back of the van. So as they're driving out, you've got the back of the van facing you. There were sandals which were down on the floor. Right, someone noticed that. I didn't see them to begin with until I actually properly looked.
Yeah.
Then as I noticed this, I went onto Instagram and I noticed they were actually Gabby's sandals. Same sandals.
Yeah.
Same design, same colour, possibly the same length. Right. So I was like, oh. Like I said, I matched out to her on Instagram. That's when I noticed her hat. Right, which she is also wearing upon her Instagram. So it was definitely her van, which no one actually made sure. But the hat's there,
it's
which
definitely
is what she was wearing. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Well, that would be one hell of a coincidence.
I noticed a book on the floor, which was a little bit further away from the sandals, and then I also noticed what looked like a gun upon that book.
Interesting. Why would the gun be outside and left unattended?
That is a thought process. Now, Gabby's body was found a 6-minute walk from where that van was spotted and parked.
So it's obviously hers. And that was very coincidental.
That is, isn't it? Right, so I will also add this bit. So as they're driving out in their RV, as they're driving up to the van, you could just about see it in the clearing, right? You see the door close in the back of the van. And I was like, Now my partner, she told me, she was like, you can see the door close, someone's in the van. at this point, I'm like, really? Writing down notes and everything else. I'm like, oh, okay, they saw the door close. Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. And I'm just like, strange. Strange. Sandals, the hat that she wore in her Instagram posts, a book and a gun, and then other people started noticing, oh, there's someone digging in the field, like just behind the van, and I'm like, hey. So I had to keep watching it. All caught on someone's RV, dash cam.
RV go cam or whatever it is.
Dash cam. I was like, holy shit. So much information is on there that if you dissected it, you'd be like, well, that's a bit weird. And the fact that Gabby's body was found a 6-minute walk from that van where it was parked.
Yeah.
You don't believe in coincidences on this channel, do you?
I don't.
Right. Gonna get into the bunker scenario. As this was
yes.
As this was the bit I told you. Right.
Yes.
So the weirdest thing about this was not the whole situation, it's just the fact they finally did a drone of the Laundrie house. Like, if you're stalking a family and protesting...
It's only taken 4 months.
Yeah. No, but what I'm getting at, if you are stalking a family and protesting and want to know their whereabouts and news and media, you'd be having drones up there every day.
You would find every little avenue that you could exploit.
But it just so happens, this drone footage captures something. And now this is where something turns into a big everything.
Yeah, I have seen the video.
Yeah. So the drone footage, the hand and Brian's parents running away from it. I looked on the idea of a bunker, even a septic tank. It's possible.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say it isn't possible. I'm not going to say it is possible. I'm just going to say you could do it. There's a way, right?
There is specific planning permission that you can get within the Florida and Florida Keys because of the floodplains and everything else.
Now, I would like to add, before people go, oh, having a bunker or a septic tank in your garden is a part of shit, I looked this up. There is other houses on this road that have septic tanks.
Yeah, and you can have them in a floodplain as long as they're sealed.
And don't forget, a swimming pool. If it floods that much, you've got a fucking swimming pool right there, which has to be dug out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just right now, that could have happened. So, I'm just saying, also got to state, people that actually live in that street and other people in Florida said it's possible.
Yeah.
Like, it's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but you have to have certain certain clearances.
And people had proven otherwise online. They said, look, this is how easy it would be to build a bunker in Florida where allegedly it floods and you can't build anything in it. You can.
You can.
But, right, so I saw the video. My first thought was his parents are keeping him captive underground until this all blows over. That's what I was thinking. Right. Or they're keeping him locked up, eventually to kill him, which would be in a massive twist plot.
Yeah.
The family kill him. Right? Now, I showed you the video. What did you think?
So, I didn't actually see a hand.
Right. But
I did see the mum.
Not wearing gardening clothes, man.
Not wearing gardening clothes.
Or gloves.
For
weeds and thorns and thistles.
But she does place something in that raised bed.
Okay.
Whether it's taken, because it does seem that there's a gap.
Okay.
Now whether she's dropping something in there, maybe getting rid of evidence.
Right, can I just say, bearing in mind, everyone that's watching this video has looked at that video and gone, there's definitely a bunker there, or there's something.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not speaking to people that won't think there's a bunker, you're speaking to people that will possibly go, I did see that, I did think that was a bit odd. But I thought the oddest thing was the fact that a drone went up at that exact point.
Yeah, maybe it was orchestrated.
Was it just to keep the attention on the family instead of really looking for Brian? It seems weird. They weren't pulling weeds and then they pull one and then it looks.
And then they spot the drone and then they run inside.
And at that specific point, it's not like they've been gardening for 6 hours straight.
No.
Right. So I just wanted to clear that up. It seems weird that the drone footage went up at that exact point.
But if you watch them before they spot the drone.
Yeah.
So the father is standing at the end.
Yeah.
And and the mother is reaching down towards.
Yeah. Okay.
The father is watching the mother.
Yeah.
and you can see his mouth. He's talking.
Yeah.
And then he looks to see the drone.
Yeah. She panics.
She
stands
panics.
up.
They both run into her.
Yeah. Right now. Obviously, events have unfolded before we get to the main events, but just to know that there could have been a bunker down there, and the family were keeping him safe because they were scared. If anyone did spot him, they'd kick the living shit out of him.
Well, there would be another murder.
Exactly. At this point, you've got protesters outside. You've got people taking pictures of every bald guy.
Storm the house.
Yeah, like you wouldn't be able to keep this guy safe. And I think that was one thought I kept having in my head all this time, was the fact if you got this man who is seen as being domestically violent towards his partner, his partner's now been found.
There's going to be a lot of hate.
Yeah, like his partner's now been found by the strangulation.
Right.
He's on the run. They've lawyered up. I don't think anyone in that area would really give a shit if they found him and kicked the living shit out of him.
No.
Just saying.
Oh no.
If this was England, they would have burnt his house down.
Oh yeah, they would have stormed the house.
Right.
They would have dug everything up.
Like, pretty much, if this was in England,
your house would get raided as soon as that drone footage, mate.
Yeah.
They'll be in that border like crazy, digging it.
Do you reckon that at any point when he came back and before they went off on their camping trip and he went off on his own, right? Do you reckon that they just got someone in to build a bunker to keep him in there at any point, or do you reckon the house possibly had one anyway? If there was a bunker theory, I'm just saying there are houses in Florida that do have bunkers.
They do have them.
Right, so I was just saying.
If anything, as I said, I lean towards the septic tank. But then you still have to have an exit and an entrance so you can get in and drain it.
Yeah.
And it's easily big enough for a man to get inside.
I mean, when I saw it, right, it seemed to me that the FBI hadn't sent in dogs to search the property.
No, they went in and done a search, but maybe they were led.
Maybe, but it just seems the fact that the FBI just went in without dogs, searched the property, didn't really check the garden. They didn't put the dogs in there to get a good sniff around.
No. And
it just seems that FBI and the police are fucked up, big time, and they know they have. And I'll tell you something now, right? They thought they actually saw Brian Laundrie, and it was his mother. So this is recent. So this goes to show that they're shit. How can you
mistake them from?
I think Brian's around 6 foot. His mother's like 3 foot nothing. Oh, there he is. Oh.
Sorry, I was very far away.
How can... Fuck knows. But one thing I did notice...
I do believe some evidence may have been lost. Okay. Definitely.
Or got rid of.
Throughout this investigation.
So, while my partner is watching TV, right, and watching the case unfold, she'll fall asleep and I'll carry on clicking through, right? Everything I've noticed has been absolutely fucking crazy about this case. Like how nothing adds up correctly. And I think the only way it's going to add up is if the parents speak of Brian Laundrie's, right? But I just think they're going to bullshit their way through it all anyway. This is why I did my own timeline, it seems to make sense. Right, now, October the 20th. Allegedly, Brian's parents called up the FBI the night before saying they was going to help look in the Colton Reserve. The place FBI had spent most of their money, time, resources, dogs, looking, right? They even brought out these really cool drones.
Yeah.
Just for this thing. It was like they were showing off going, oh look, there it goes. And we bring it back down again, we can't be bothered. Right? So the parents have now called up on the 20th to say we're going to help you guys look. Right. One question: why would your parents now call up the FBI and say we're going to help you look? Right. After they've spent all their time at home, apart from Chris, on that one day, his dad went off and had a little joke with the investigators and came back. Why would the parents now call up and go, we're going to help you look? Right. So, give you some background information. The Colton Reserve, right? They spent so much money there. The family said that's where he went. The FBI said, okay, we're going to search. It's been flooded.
It's a good start.
It's been flooded. It's been hunted down, basically. Like, there's animals everywhere, wild animals. Apparently pigs live out there, right? But now all of a sudden the parents want to come forward and go, we want to help the FBI look for him, right? Now wait. Right. So, when Brian came back, right, he purchased a burner phone, right? My thought process at this point in the timeline, right, was, has something actually happened to him now, and the parents haven't heard from him in, say, 2 weeks, and now they're panicking?
Now they're panicking.
Yeah. That was my first thought. My second thought was, is it because the Carlton Reserve is now open to the public, and they're scared
everyone's going to flood to it?
Yeah, they're scared that he's going to get found and get his head smashed in, right?
Yeah.
So what would be your thought process why the mother and father have now only just said, hey FBI, tomorrow morning we're going to go help you look, we'll meet you at the gates? Without looking at the information.
No. Without looking in the information,
Go on.
I would. My first thought is they either. One of two things.
Yep.
They either don't know where he's gone.
Right. Do you mean that they don't? You don't know where he's gone, as in
they haven't heard from him at all
since they reported him missing?
Since they reported it.
Okay, so now panic set.
And now it's only the sudden realization that something's wrong.
Okay. Or do you think that they've now contacted the FBI and said, because they've had no communication with him, say, e.g. a burner phone, they're like, shit, we haven't heard from him in 2 weeks, something's wrong. I hope someone hasn't got hold of him or he hasn't died. But I would like to
my second...
Before you now begin, the family told the FBI this location, this specific location where he might be, and they didn't get to it, or they haven't looked at it, or they did look at it, or maybe they were like 2,000 yards away from it. They weren't specifically there at that location.
Right.
But I just want you to tell you that they had already told the FBI, look, he's in the Carlton Reserve, here is his place, this is where he's gone.
My second was literally that they know where he is now.
I would like to say this is the first time I've smoked since.
So they know where he is now, and they know that he's not in this location or anywhere close to it.
Okay.
And they're like, right, okay, now we're gonna lead the FBI up shit street without a paddle.
Okay.
We're gonna keep them floating around here where either fucking Brian Laundrie can get to fucking Mexico or whatever. Like we're gonna keep the attention here
in one place,
so he can drift off out the back.
Okay, that's what
like that would be my more plausible aspect.
Okay.
For me, but
so I also thought, are they scared that the public might find him and just fucking kill him?
At this point, as I said, it's a witch hunt. They're gonna string him up. They're gonna drag him behind cars. Like it's. And it's not just the males that are going to find him either.
Exactly. So this was my thought process. When I found out that obviously the Laundries were going to the Carlton Reserve to help the FBI, I was thinking, shit, is it because it's open to the public, flooding has subsided, and they're scared?
And they don't want him to be caught like that.
Or have they lost communication with him? Has he been on the run this time, been in contact with them, and they haven't heard from him, so now they're like, hello FBI, can we have some help, please?
Plausible.
And this is where it begins to get a bit more messy for you, because now you're going to figure out why. Right. Are you ready? You sure?
Yeah.
I also kind of thought about the protesters. Were they now getting in the head of the family, shouting, Brian killed Gabby, Brian killed Gabby, Brian... Mental torture of them being outside. Yeah?
Probably, but that's what they deserve at this point, so not my fault.
Like I said... Not my fault, don't care. Right, so, like I said, the strange part is the parents told the FBI he may be at this local base, right? But they couldn't get there, right? I think mainly due to, like I said, flooding, animals, alligators, crocodiles, whatever the fuck's out there.
Or the family's told them the wrong bloody place, but that's a whole different argument.
Right. So at this point, it's kind of easy to go, okay, I'm sceptical in everything that this family does. It seems dodgy, right?
Well, so, there's been not a peep out of them for months, and then now they're insistent to help.
I would like to say many people were saying online that there's black bears out there. So I was like, oh shit. So there's more than just the snakes and the alligators and like the
you'd
deadly
expect
spider
brown
or
bears,
something.
you'd expect grizzlies up more of the.
Well, they clearly stated black
brown
bears,
bears,
alligators, snakes, and panthers.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. Maybe they're worried now. This mediocre survivalist in the Colton Reserve thinking he can outsmart deadly animals. Right, anyway.
Probably chopped his own finger off.
So the FBI met Chris and Roberta at the reserve, and within 30 minutes of them, I said it earlier.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Something creek. There we go. Environmental park.
Mm.
Chris, the father, walked off a little bit. The mother was looking around like she was a fucking dick.
I think it's here.
Yeah, a bit like that. She even came with like a little red backpack that put little bottles of water in, thinking they're gonna fucking die out there. Right. Mayachi.
Yeah.
Mayachi Creek. Yeah. So anyway, while Roberta stood like a stone, scared of the outside world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris managed to come across a dry bag containing personal items of Brian Laundrie.
Oh, behave.
30 minutes into the search.
Oh, 1.5 million, and he goes out there with a fucking flashlight and a candle.
This was during the day, Will.
I don't care.
He used the sun.
It's oh, mate. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. You sure?
That was planted, but
Right.
yeah, anyway.
That's what many people thought, but they actually went into the reserve with nothing. Apart from this little rucksack that she was nowhere near him.
Don't care.
Right, okay.
Definitely planted, mate.
Right, okay.
Fucking brother probably went out there and did it.
Right, then, as the news hit, skeletal remains was found and a reserve that was once flooded, now became flooded with FBI.
Mm-hmm.
They found skeletal remains.
Okay.
Right. And dogs.
Right.
And investigators.
Okay.
Everything you can think of.
Yeah.
These dogs...
It's a war zone at this point.
Right, these dogs, right, allegedly are trained to sniff bodies underwater.
Yeah.
Right, they're trained to do everything. They couldn't find this bag that the father found within 30 minutes.
With his scent probably all over it.
Yeah.
Mm.
But what I found weird was the fact that Brian's father, Chris, picked up the bag.
Yeah.
So
ruined evidence.
So he's put his fingerprints on it. Is it because it was already on there, or is it because...
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. Speculation.
You know, he went out there a month ago and threw something over there.
In a different area.
I don't care.
Right.
He probably drove past it, I'm not going to lie.
Many now, online, were questioning how did the FBI find nothing, right? Now, if he's this fucking good at finding things, I want him to look through my bookcase and find that £20 note, right? Because I know where I put it and I can't find it. So I'm going to invite the Laundries, please come to the UK, come to my place of abode and find that £20 note, because I don't know where to find it.
And then I believe you can find stuff.
They should work for the FBI at this point. Right?
Yeah, sniffer dog by the sound of it.
Well, the mum does look like a dog. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie. Right, so, maybe Brian's body and contents only appeared a week or so ago due to the reserve being flooded.
Well, no, they had to get it out of the septic.
Okay, right, yeah.
They accidentally shut the lid.
Okay, right.
Sorry. That was bad.
Very bad. Very bad. Say what you like about him, mate. Them parents are upholding parents of America, you could tell. They're brilliant.
And then they got the flag, they got the dead body in the septic tank.
Brilliant much. Right, so is it because the fact that, like I said, the water had subsided and the remains began to get shown? But don't forget it hasn't been open to the public. Until, right, yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's in my head.
Yeah. So was it the fact it was underwater? Maybe the FBI just didn't look at the place that Chris and Roberta said at the very start.
Okay.
Right?
I'm not going to feel sorry for him, but yeah.
No, they said he's around here and they fucked off over that way somewhere. Yeah. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Right. They've got to be the most hated family in America at this point. The Laundries have to be. Right? But I'm not going to show them empathy. I'm going to say, look, okay, you have lost a child, allegedly.
Yeah. No,
right? But the one thing that I feel that they should have done was speak.
Yeah.
Fuck your attorney, he's a piece of shit by the sounds of it, and I've watched him on TV, he lies like nobody's business. But they should have spoken to the family. I literally said it. I think that's the only thing they did wrong. Please don't kill me.
I suppose you don't really think of it at the time.
No.
You know what I mean? Like.
So they found a bag containing Brian's items and skeletal remains.
Right.
Okay,
So
which
of
could have
his
been
personal effects, their skeleton remains.
Yeah, which could have been underwater.
Right.
Right.
I'm going to ask something in a minute, but I'll let you carry on.
Okay. Okay, so here's one thing I found really odd.
Mm-hmm.
They identified it was Brian by his teeth. So they found a lower part of his jaw and the front part and just other remains of his face. Right. Now I'm going to throw this out there. A member in Brian's family works in the dentistry, so it could have been faked. They have money.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, yeah, go on, continue.
Just plausible.
Continue, it could be.
Allegedly, his whole investigation could be fucked up with the fact that they've got someone in the family that also works for the same police force. Right. But
yeah,
that one out there. Right, just run this one out. But yeah,
No.
it was basically Brian, right?
Right.
Maybe the FBI shouldn't I don't know, balls this up so much. And I don't really want to show the Laundries compassion because they withheld information, but I feel that is the bit that they did wrong. Yeah. They withheld information from everyone else. Yeah, sure, call them names, do whatever you like, but
they've still suffered a loss.
Yeah, there you go. Wow. That's very brave of you to say that. Right. It doesn't help that obviously like they're the massive gossip of the world. Everyone hates this family. I feel sorry for the sister if she's got actually no part in this whatsoever.
Yeah,
I feel bad for her.
She's been dragged through the mud.
Yeah. But I also want to state that I don't necessarily hold remorse if it is Brian Laundrie, because I kind of think an eye for an eye at this point. So go on, what were you going to say before I
So I was going to say, has it... You kind of answered my question in the last little bit.
Okay.
Basically, I was going to ask, have they identified the remains as him? 100%.
Not 100%, only by dental records, because the other remains are inconclusive due to how damaged the body is. Right. Now, bearing in mind, it's not a body; it's remains. It's fragments.
Skeletal remains.
Right. Now, before you go on another tangent.
No.
Right. So it usually takes 6 weeks for dental records to come back off a dead person. This appeared within a day. It seemed like they either worked really hard to prove that they hadn't fucked. Well, they had fucked up. But it seems like, oh yeah, we've got him. We've done our bit as FBI investigators.
We definitely need to make sure that this is him.
Yeah. But then they also fucked up thinking that his fucking mum was him, so they kind of embarrassed themselves, really.
Yeah. I can't go over that bit.
Yeah. They fucked it up big time for themselves, so no matter what they do now, if they put one foot out of place, which I feel that they're not going to now, if there is his remains, because they look stupid. Considering the family said, oh, he's here, and they were like, oh yeah, but we're going to look over here, or we're going to go here.
Yeah.
Right. So your thoughts so far? Don't give this all away yet.
No.
Right. So, could he have survived 33 days in the Colton Reserve with alligators, everything else?
On mediocre survival?
Allegedly, he's a mediocre survivalist at best.
Probably not.
Who would literally camp out in national parks. I mean, he used to go on like this thing called an Appalachian Trail where Dog the Bounty Hunter thought he was, but he obviously is not. I mean, it doesn't. I guess I
suppose the Appalachian Trail would be the safest bet. I suppose that would be where
he'd often gone there for a couple of weeks at a time.
Yeah. So I'm
not saying I'm a fucking survivalist, right? But I would possibly have a better job than him at surviving 33 days in the wild. I climbed mountains without harnesses. I've camped in dodgy places, wild camping in fact. But I'd have better job surviving there than possibly he would for 33 days, considering he camps at national parks. I've done wild camping. There's a big difference. There's a big difference.
There's a big difference.
Shall I carry on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Right. Could he have been in talks with his mother, then maybe, like I said, been bitten while he slept by a snake and died this way?
But then there would be more remains.
In 3 to 4 weeks, where a body's been decomposing, where there's alligators and other animals like pigs that are looking for fresh food.
Yeah, but they wouldn't break bone.
They could. Alligators do.
Alligators would, but then there would have to be substantial amount
of meat. A snake could decompose a body with a bite.
True, but then the bones would still be there.
If it did flood. Right.
But then there wouldn't be
this was
fragments, there would be big chunks.
Yeah, I mean this was like the lower jaw and a bit of the upper jaw, which they've gone through the teeth to figure out if it was him or not. Right? So just So I allegedly thought snakes. I don't know what snakes are out there in that specific area, but if a snake did bite him, he'd have roughly 20 minutes until his body started shutting down. And he's fucked in his sleep, because you think like, oh, something's bit me, and then you could fall back to sleep, die. And then picked apart by other animals, and water, flooding, hot temperatures in Florida.
Yeah, it would help decompose a body.
Right. Was it suicidal? Did he blow his fucking head off? Like he realised
it would make sense, and that's why you could only see the bottom jaw and part of the thing, because you've been gunning and
and then torn apart by animals.
Yeah.
Right. So that was another thought process I had. Did he feel that guilty at this point? I would like to say his attorney came forward, and even though he'd been talking like with interviewers like all day, he fucked up. He said Brian came home and he was grieving. What the fuck is he grieving for? And then he went, oh, I didn't mean grieving, I meant he was upset. What's he got to be upset about? His girlfriend ain't been declared dead yet. Like, why would he? Yeah, he could have slipped up. He's an attorney, he's a liar. Right.
No. Paid to lie.
So, it kind of made me think that, I don't know, he left, and now that he didn't have Gabby, he was a loner. He had no friends. Thought, fuck it, what have I done? Blew his head off. That was one of my thought processes. And, it kind of, was he scared of the outcome? Like, if he was to get caught?
As I said, witch hunt by this point.
Yeah.
And if he is kept up with the feelings of obviously the burner phone and whatever, like talking to his parent, or parents, whatever.
Bit weird. Regardless, right? So, like the world, you guys out there on the internet, and myself, was really pissed off that they found him. If this makes sense, like after this long internet process of scrolling through my phone,
I suppose,
I was just pissed.
Just as a skeletal remain, and you're like, well, justice still hasn't been served. Yeah,
like I was pissed. Yeah, I wanted to see him alive. Basically, that's what I wanted to see. Because then maybe they could have made him speak. They could have forced him to speak. He could have admitted to something. Yeah. At this point, he's allegedly dead. As good as dead. For a good couple of weeks, I'm guessing, with this much decay and everything else happening. It could be a couple of weeks, but still.
You would expect a couple of weeks.
Right. So I was pissed. And now, obviously, we're in this little dry bag that they came across, the farm came across. There's, like, allegedly a notebook in there. There's some other bits. There's items of clothing. They recently come across a water bottle, not far from, but the FBI didn't find it. Other people did. People that were looking around the area, they came across a water bottle which is seen in Gabby's photos, and it's the same water bottle.
So it's been surviving around that area.
Yeah, but it's the fact the FBI didn't find this, even with, I think they called them cadaver dogs.
Cadaver dogs.
Yeah, and they still couldn't find these bits and pieces of it. Just nah. But I'm kind of guessing with this notebook, if it wasn't planted, show his mental state. Considering he's an artist, he might express something. Right.
There'll be drawings, there'll be notes, there'll be a diary, basically. You would expect.
People were saying online that the family, you know, Chris and Roberta, should pay for all this searching. Right, the 1.5 million search
of the budget, which is inevitably going to come out of their taxes anyway.
Yeah, but they said they were like, right, you need to pay for this because we were looking for your son. You know, people were saying online. I want people to look online, and I'm going to tell you. Obviously, there was rewards on pieces of paper set up, saying if anyone has any information on Brian Laundrie or can find him or this, that, and the other, you will get this much money. Now, that little line, anyone, Chris found him. He's now possibly getting all that reward money for finding his own son. You get more and more pissed as this goes on. I would like to say
you're lucky we're recording.
Like I said, like it seems a bit. Oh, he's now getting all this money. Did he make a deal with the FBI? Did he say, right, I can tell you where Brian is, but I want the reward money? Possible. But the family seemed to come from money, so they could have actually paid for
money. Attracts money, mate.
They could have paid someone to change the dental records to say it was him. So now, like, everyone's stopped the search and they're just hunting. They're not hunting anymore. No. Just a thought process, maybe. So, despite the family never helping Gabby's family and never responding, I guess they do deserve some condolences at this point.
I know they do.
Right, on behalf of losing a child, if it is Brian. Right, their actions, right, are not what Brian allegedly did, like murder his. They didn't murder Gabby. He allegedly did it.
Yeah.
So bear this part in mind. I don't feel like they should get the reward money though. I think that's a kick in the face to everyone that's helped look, right? So that, so
I reckon it should go towards
a funding
of some sort
for domestic violence.
For domestic violence.
Do you think the family are going to do that though? No. Allegedly, the family went away a couple of days ago to their funeral, son's funeral. He was cremated. I'm not sure what they cremated. A spine. Because it seems like he never had one to begin with. Huh?
Empty coffin, more like?
It just seems a bit weird. So, my first thought was, he left home in that Mustang, drove to the Carlton Reserve, and blew his fucking brains out.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. Yeah. Then the family went to collect the Mustang because it had a abandoned. If your car is abandoned for so long, it will be towed away. It's an expensive car. Not gonna lie. Right. That's why they only found partial remains, like you said. Smart thinking, Will. Right. Also, I thought, like I said, bitten by a poisonous snake, bitten in his sleep, devoured by animals.
It's plausible.
Right. Then my brain began to think of every scenario possible. Every scenario. Right. But the one that stuck with me was quite. Don't cheat.
I'm not cheating.
You're cheating. He's cheating.
I'm not cheating.
So
I can't read your writing anyway.
I can just about. Right. Then I began to think. Right. So say he got home, told his parents what he did, and they in fact killed him off. Right.
That would go back to my earlier theory of stuffing him into a septic tank.
Due to what he had done and shame on the family, it seems weird the family collected the Mustang and knew where he was and found him, as that's where they've possibly killed him themselves. That's why Chris picked up the dry bag, so his fingerprints are on it regardless. Even if, yeah.
Again, plausible.
Maybe they were hoping the elements and animals would finish him off, but it was taking too long.
Get rid of certain.
Yeah, but it was taking too long. So Chris finding items, putting his fingerprints over Brian's stuff is a very clever cover-up. And the fact that
so
they
slowly leading up to
the fact that they picked up the Mustang,
and the fact that they told FBI that he would be, whether they got there or not.
They went to collect the Mustang. They must have saw Brian that day, and maybe done something to him. Could it be that everyone's harassing the family because of what Brian did to Gabby, but really they should be clapping the family because they killed their son? They killed Brian off. Are they the unspoken heroes? It was just a thought process here. Is it possible? They were like, shit, you've killed her. Then
but then to prospect from the greed.
Look, you kill a son off and you make money off of it from the reward. Not gonna lie, mate. We've read more fucked up cases.
That is true.
See?
That's true.
Everything is possible in this case at this point.
We've covered more messed up ones.
Yeah. Everything is possible in this case. And yet no one knows. So recently they said the conclusion of death is unknown. So they don't know how he died yet. They've sent the bones off to another, I guess, like pathologist, anthologist, I think it is, to see what they can find of what's left.
See what they can piece back together, basically.
Now, I do think he killed Gabby by strangulation. That is a definite.
That is a definite.
Whether people online don't want to admit to that or not, it happened. And it's obvious it happened. You don't just lawyer up for no reason.
No.
They'd already had domestic issues. Her body was found 6 minutes away from the van, from where it was parked when that couple were driving out in the RV. Was it also gunshots? Did he chase her into, should we say, the woods? Try chasing her 6 minutes away from the van?
Yeah. It's a fair walk, and it'll be difficult to.
If he's chasing
someone,
for 6 minutes. If he's chasing her, it makes sense. If she tries to get away, it makes sense, and he follows her or runs after her.
It would make sense.
You know, right? Yeah. I just think there's more twists and turns coming.
I don't think this is game, set, and match yet.
No. I mean, it could.
Far from it.
It could be that he blew his own head off. You know,
it could be. It could be that simple. Now, but I don't think so.
I think the case is still going. I think it's still going to carry on at this point. I think.
Well, there's too many gaps.
Yeah.
There's too many gaps, and like the thing is, I don't want this to go into.
In 10 years from now, more evidence will appear. You watch.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I don't want to wait 10 years to find out.
Is this annoyed you?
A little bit. I'm not gonna lie. My rage went from to very.
What about the reward money? It was the money aspect.
That topped it off. I was like, no.
I don't think anyone online noticed. It said anyone with the whereabouts of Brian Laundrie. It says anyone, so the family can cash in. It's up to the people
whether
that
they
want to
cash in.
Oh, of course they could.
No, whether they do or not, or
Right,
whether
so
they have done or not, is
just want to
a
give
very different thing. Like they've.
Right, my other theory, right, and I think many people online think this as well. Alligators. Say he's wild camping in the Carlton Reserve. It is a bit flooded. There are gators there. Right. One could just grab him and drag him underwater, right? Because his remains were found in a flooded area.
Yes.
Which is what the FBI was saying.
No,
right?
I'm not denying that.
So an alligator could have grabbed him, dragged him underwater, right? So eventually killed him, right? Crushed the bones because an alligator can.
Yes.
Right. Due to the heat in Florida, being underwater, the skin and muscle tissue would peel off like we're stirring soup.
Exactly.
Right? So therefore, an alligator would grab you, drag you underwater, death roll you a few times, chomp away at you for a bit, and then keep you underwater to come back to you later. Is it possible? That's why there's only certain bits. Did other alligators take snaps at him?
The problem is there would be either more bones or less bones.
Right, they did.
There wouldn't be fragments.
Okay, they did find other bones near the water bottle, but they're unsure whether it's Brian's or not. They're still unsure whether the bones they found are Brian's. They're just saying, yes, it was him due to dental records, and the family go off and mourn for a couple of days, come back.
And then go on holiday.
Yeah. During this whole process, they were receiving lovely packages from FedEx, the family were. Which seems a bit weird. One of the packages said something along the lines of food deposit. And there was food in it. Someone online said, oh, you posting that to Brian? You just don't know. But I seem to think there's twists and turns in this still.
Yeah.
Just to come across partial skull.
There's more to come.
A partial skull. Now, I'm pretty sure I've covered everything. A whole fucking 15 pages.
Yep. We've definitely covered quite a lot in this.
Right. Oh, this was the other bit which I found really odd.
Okay.
Right, so the day Gabby was found dead, a fake Instagram account was exposed. Weirdly enough, the fake account went private on the day she was found dead. Right?
Interesting.
But before this, it was leaving comments on Brian Laundrie's Instagram stating claims Gabby was alive, well, and getting some help. It gets weird, right? Which obviously was weird, as it was defending Brian and his family, saying leave them alone, they've done nothing wrong. Also, it uploaded a small tent in the woods. Right? Now, I did a bit of research on this, and I think some other people online did at this point. I think it was across Reddit. And basically, it was trying to indicate that Gabby was alive. Right? Now, strange occurrence, and a weird occurrence, that the account was linked to Brian Laundrie's mum due to the last 3 numbers and location it was registered to. So the mother had set up a fake Instagram account to say, leave me alone, you know, Gabby's alive and well, and then all of a sudden the day it found out that she had died or was dead, it went to private and then got deactivated, which I thought was really strange. So the mother sat there at home on Instagram going, oh, leave the Laundrie family alone. Chris, are they still out there? Yep.
It's not working.
Bit odd.
Yeah, it's a bit odd.
It was a bit of odd information I found, and I thought, well, not many people might know about it.
No.
Also, there was a lesbian couple that recently got married. When the police dropped off Chris at the motel, he was 5 minutes away from this couple. This couple also said that they saw him in an argument at some point or some stage or something along those lines. Either way, the 2 married couple, the 2 women were found dead. Right? 6 minutes away from Brian Laundrie's motel, and there hadn't been a murder in that place till that fucking faggot walked in. Bit weird.
Very weird. It's too much.
He also told
for me to believe.
in the body cam. He also said, "Oh, can't you just leave me at the place where the couple were camping?" It's like I said, foretelling certain situations which were really odd. And not many people have spoke about this, but the 2 women, were found shot, brutally killed and raped. Might not be Brian's MO, but a lot of people speculate he did it because he was 6 minutes away from them, and they did actually upload a thing saying there was a creepy guy following them around, and gave a partial description.
Which matched.
Possibly matched.
Yeah.
Seems a bit odd. He's reading serial killers' books. Alright, we all read serial killer books.
He's had an argument and he's coming out to
release his
anger.
Yeah. That's what many people assume.
Again, it's plausible, like
it's weird.
MO's a bit off, but
it's weird. Gunshots. Shot to death. Beaten. Raped. 6 minutes away from him, there's been no murder fucking happening in that town for fucking years. And he turns up, oh look, Mr. Serial Killer.
Yeah. I don't know.
It sucks. But I don't think it's over. But we're done with this case. Like
there is no avenue that we can investigate that he has not written down.
tried somewhat. I don't get money for this. I'm running out of pence. I'm not gonna lie.
Actually,
but as I was gonna say, like, it's sad. It came to a tragic end for Gabby because obviously she was becoming an influencer. Everyone wanted to live her lifestyle and so on, and obviously the family, stepdad, stepmom, mum, dad, they're distraught. They've got no idea. They're left in the dark. Brian Laundrie's family should have fucking come forward and said, "Hey, look, our son's done something terrible." Even that would have been good enough.
yeah, we think he's
Yeah.
here or.
But that would have been good enough for anyone, really. But yeah, so I have covered everything I can.
Yeah.
I think. So I don't think I have any more to say. But yeah, tragedy that Gabby died. On the other side, I kind of didn't want Brian to be found, dental records. I still wanted the hunt to search.
Yeah.
I had this image of people just like lynching the fucker.
Literally.
Which should have happened, to be fair. So, your thoughts, theories, round it up. What do you think? Do you think the family killed him? Do you think crocodiles? Do you think he just blew his fucking head off?
I'm leaning towards the suicide.
You've got no imagination.
I'm leaning towards the suicide purely for the regret of the sudden realisation what the twat's done.
And he's all alone, has no friends,
Exactly.
can't live his life alone.
And now he's out in the wilderness, pissing up with rain, feeling sorry for himself, which, to be fair...
He should be. Bastard.
Literally.
So, yeah, that was our thoughts, theories, the whole kind of case rounded up in one big lump sum.
Yeah, one hell of a lump sum.
I should get paid for this.
One day.
Maybe. Yeah, so if you're new and you invested time in this, probably over an hour video. Yeah?
Yeah, it's definitely
maybe hour and a half, who knows. So yeah, if you're new, subscribe. We have season 3 coming out in December. We have we have 1 or 2 videos coming out early, mid-November-ish. If we do what we say we're going to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll catch you in the next episode, and hopefully for season 3 and something else.